Let's get more analysis on the story. I'm joined by independent political analyst Ralph Mathekga. Ralph, thanks very much for coming in this evening. We've heard Gwede Mantashe's explanation. Do you buy it?
Well, I think it sounds quite thin because I was expecting much more thicker justification, particularly establishing almost beyond reasonable doubt that the League and also the Limpopo PEC were at a point where they could not function, and other means through which they could be resuscitated, maybe internal processes of trying to rescue the situation were exhausted. But going straight for disbanding them, I don't think that that shows that the other means have been well exhausted. I don't find the explanation quite satisfactory in my view.
Ralph, we've heard whisperings about this as far back as Mangong when people called for this kind of measure. Wasn't it a foregone conclusion that after that NWC report we were going to have this kind of outcome anyway?
Well, I was thinking that there would be much more caution, because at the end of the day the elective conference is done with, and then there are problems within the organization. There is no doubt about that, but I was thinking that there will be much more bilateral ways of trying to resolve instead of going for this kind of a solution. And I think for me this is a concern because the party is going for elections in months next year, so this kind of decisions might result in much more lack of coherence or lack of unity within the party. It might render the party weaker at the provincial level, particularly province such as Limpopo, where the party had in the past demonstrated quite a bigger support. So I think that such kind of a decision, the disbanding the PEC there and also disbanding the NEC of the ANC Youth League, might create a gap for other parties to start even looking at the weakness within the ANC within the province, and there might be political cost to that will be seen maybe next year during elections.
Ralph, are you seeing this as an act of vindictiveness against those who tried to take on President Jacob Zuma?
Well, as someone who's sitting outside, first and foremost, I think those who were involved in activities campaigning against him, they should have known that there's going to be consequences. This is politics, and then they should have known that had they won, actually, they were planning to remove him. So from that side, or from that point, I don't empathize very much with them. But my concern is the question of unity. Looking at this from outside, I'm asking myself, what is it that is going to be gained by a decision like that? President Jacob Zuma has got a good support now. He's well stated. He's got a solid support within the ANC. He's got a political capital. I would think that spending it in this way might be more costly than had it been the case where maybe unity was struck.
Some observers believe the ANC had no choice but to disband the Youth League NEC because Julius Malema, although unseated, is still calling the shots from the outside to some extent.
Well, I think there is no way that he can stop to talk to people, but I don't think he's calling the shot from within the Youth League. I've not seen demonstrable evidence of that, because we have seen in the past where members of the Youth League NEC, they've even went to making statement admitting that they will move away from chaos or from anarchy towards heeding the advice of the mother party, which is the ANC. So I think they were actually begging at this stand, and I think they were quite weak. And disbanding their leadership, I don't think it will achieve anything that could not have been achieved by just letting them continue in the state that they were in.
Have we seen the last of these Youth League leaders? Have we seen the last of Limpopo's former leaders in these positions, or do you think it's going to come back to haunt the ANC, as you've suggested, particularly around the time of next year's election?
Well, I don't think those disgruntled members who have been, who are victims or maybe are on the other side of this kind of an initiative, I don't think they've got any room or space to maneuver, because this is happening within the ANC. It is through internal processes of the ANC, and the ANC has exercised its discretion. Whether or not it has exercised it in bad faith or good faith, that's another thing. But I don't see them coming back. If there is an opportunity for them to come back, that is only a long term. But I think the most important thing is for people within the ANC to start thinking about how they can move on beyond this, because the more conflict they continue to have, the weaker the party gets.
Ralph Mathekga, thanks very much for your analysis.